Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. Today I'll be covering the Lego Batman movie. Now, this will be the final Batman movie, at least of this year, that I'll be covering as like a movie spoiler review. And definitely check out my previous Batman films that I've reviewed up on my YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/talkativecarl. Follow me on my various other channels and the links in the description. There's twitch.tv/talkativecarl, Twitter @talkativecarl. And of course, if you want to further support the channel, definitely check out my Patreon. That's patreon.com/talkativecarl. Yeah. It's been a minute since I've seen like the Lego Batman movie, but I think this was my second or third time me watching this film. And this movie is, I'm glad I waited till now to review this movie, because after I covered, like I said, check out my previous Batman films that I've reviewed so far, the Nolan trilogy, the Tim Burton films, and then the most recently the Joel Schumacher films. Check out all those videos, because I definitely want to give my 2 cents on all those movies. And interestingly enough, I managed to pull out, even from like a movie like Batman and Robin, I managed to pull up something that's quite interesting that as a kid never even realized. So the Lego Batman movie is pretty much like a spin-off to the Lego movie, which was like a huge success. I didn't go see the Lego movie in a wait a minute. I can't obviously recall, because I think I actually went to the theater to see the Lego movie only after so much buzz that it's kind of like, similar to how like Knives Out was for me, as far as like so many people was telling everybody and their mama like how great this film is. And like, because I really had no interest in the Lego movie at first until like so much buzz was enveloping the zeitgeist. So at some point I went to go see it in the theaters, and it's like, I love the film. But like Knives Out, not only I love the film because I saw it in the theaters on its last week it was in the theaters, it became one of my favorite non-superhero related films. Now, I love the Lego movie a lot, but it didn't reach that height because Knives Out is just fantastic. And come to think of it, I wanted to do a review of that movie, for like it's not a Thanksgiving movie, but it's like, set amongst family, and I figured like, why not review that? But it didn't come to be. But I will eventually cover it in the probably the next, maybe some point in the new year, some point after the new year. So yeah, and Will Arnett stars as, reprises his role from the Lego movie as Batman, and he knocks it out of the park as like a good voice for Batman, just out of the comedic style of it, like, because this is like, Batman in this, it seems like, a kid, who probably watches all the Batman stuff like from film, and not really like well, I won't say like don't know the comics per se, but it's like, just by, because there's been like, it was in the trailers how like he was putting out all these previous Batman films, like, Alfred making like a joke. It was like, you went through this phase, and like, he pointed out like, all the years these previous Batman films came out, but like the Nolan trilogy, the Schumacher, the Tim Burton, and you see like different versions of those characters in the style of those films, and it was pretty doggone cool. Also, he pointed out the Adam West 60s Batman, which is also pretty doggone cool. So, like I said, it's a completely love letter to all Batman related things, but it's like a little kid who, on a surface level, knows what Batman is and assumes like he's super dark and brooding, and he's like total loner, and he talks like this, and it's very stereotypical Batman voice, and you gotta very ultra serious, cool, because Batman's always cool. He's better than Superman, and always will be. Talks like this, and it's super funny. It's like, and of course you gotta have Alfred pretty much like not play nursemaid, but it's like kind of like that parent that's trying to get their kid to go out there and see the world beyond his walls kind of situation, and like no, and it's like, God, it's so freaking funny. Will Knight is amazing in this, but it's also there's a couple of surprises of like the voice cast in this that I didn't even recognize before. Like Mariah Carey voiced the singer. Mariah Carey voiced the mayor, who only had like a short little thing because they can't afford Mariah Carey for too long. And they paid it just enough for her to be in like a couple of scenes in this. She voiced the mayor of Gotham. Zach Galifianakis is the Joker. Michael Cera as Dick Grayson Robin. Rosario Dawson as Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Rosario Dawson voiced a lot of DC characters. Ray Fiennes as Alfred Pennyworth, but you get a thing with Voldemort in this movie where it's like, it's kind of funny. It's like you got Ray Fiennes who played Voldemort in the Harry Potter films, but you don't have him voicing that very same character. You cast somebody else. I don't know. Maybe you just don't want to double the fee for Ray Fiennes. Jenny Slate as Harley Quinn. You got Channing Tatum as Superman, and you get like Billy Dee Williams to come back as Two-Face, just like a nod to his role in the Batman '89 film, which I've reviewed, and you can check that out on the channel as well. And of course, you got Zoe Kravitz, who's doing a lot of DC stuff as well as Catwoman, who only had like a minor role in this. So it begins with like Joker trying to hijack this airship filled with all these cartoony looking bombs, and it's one of the funniest scenes that I just love, where it's like Joker is pretty much like kidnapping the plane, and the pilot was like, he just not phased at all, because this Gotham City is like a Gotham City that knows, it's Gotham. It's kind of like it knows the kind of movie they're in, kind of situation. And it's like, Batman will stop you. It's like he's not phased at all. It's like that whole fear factor of Joker. It's like it evaporated after X amount of times that went by, and it's like, Batman will stop you. Stop saying that. It's like, you remember time with like the parade with the Prince music. You remember time like the two boats situation. It's like, it's nothing like the two boats. And he goes off in his little monologue on what he's planning, getting all the Gotham City rogues villains to kidnap the mayor and hold the city ransom. And he goes, it's the funniest moment where it's like he listened to all these Batman villains, from the most notable to the least notable, and like he mentions like Calendar Man and Condiment King, Crazy Quilt, and Catman, and it's like, you make some? Did you make some of those up?" It's like, no, they were all real. Probably worth a Google. And it's so freaking fun. I think I had to Google Catman and Zebra Man because those are extremely deep cuts. And this movie is directed by what's his name? Chris McKay, and I'm not sure. Well, I'm gonna say I'm not sure. I'm perfectly sure that the writers behind this did some deep research to pull off some of these jokes that fit so well. It's like they managed to pull up Catman and Zebra Man and like Condiment King. And the last time, like, because the first time Condiment King became even a thing was in the Batman anime series. So these people love Batman, and they did their time to pull up some research on stuff for just, even if it's just for like a bit, the sheer effort they put behind it just to do it, I gotta commend them. That was really, really, really good. Now, like, a lot of people consider a lot of people would consider like Batman as like a top favorite superhero. For me, he's like top 3. It's like definitely top 3. It's like because I like Spider-Man, Superman, then Batman would be a good close third, personally. Then like Wolverine, Deadpool would be falling behind that. So when Commissioner Gordon, who's been playing hilariously as like not inept, but is still better than like the Tim Burton Schumacher version of James Gordon, who's completely incompetent and offers nothing to overall plot. Hell, I think like, as a matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, I think like his best moments, that version of Jim Gordon, his best moment was in Batman '89. That is it. Even then, that's only that one level. Because he was acting like a freaking cop. After a while, he's just like, he became less. He only like lessen of his importance in Batman Returns, and he's a complete idiot in Schumacher films, which is unfortunate. But then in this, it's played hilariously, where he is like a not like a kooky old man, but he's so giddy about like he got the button to the bat, like just like, don't worry, Batman handling it, like, pressing the button constantly, just trying to call Batman. And so you get this cool moment where Batman somehow at some point disguised himself as the mayor, and as soon as he's alone with all those villains thinking they got the mayor, and then he's revealed himself, and they start kicking everybody's butt and doing this like doing this rock ballad about himself, because of course he's got to be like about himself. It's like da 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 Batman, da 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 da, and so he proceeds to kick all their butts, and then right before like the Joker escapes, he mentions about like either save them or come after your greatest villain. Like, you think you're my greatest villain? Your greatest? You think you're my greatest enemy? Superman's my greatest enemy. Superman's not a bad guy. Then I guess I don't currently have an enemy. I like to fight around. And then and he proceeds to tell Joker like he means nothing to him, which is kind of something I want in like current Batman comics. It's just like, because people will tell Joker, I mean, to be fair, Joker is the most iconic comic book villain of all time. Not to uh, argue with that whatsoever. But I think at a certain point, DC Comics seems like they, especially after the last year or two, where probably ever since, and I mentioned this in my other Batman, earlier Batman reviews, they, in at least the film, ever since like the Joker movie, since then, moving up until fairly, recently, well, not even that recently, but at least earlier in the year, this year, you know, there's been like an overusage of the Joker in like the mainstream pop culture and comics and the movies. I want to say maybe not in the I mean, so in the movies, but it's like it's like, it's supposed to be like a treat when you see the Joker, but instead you, after a certain point, it's not that different from what they doing with Batman. It's like they know where the money's coming from, but after a while, people started to understand it's like you're using him too much. Not every event needs to have the Joker involved in some other way. And if you're making a Batman story, and which I applaud Matt Reeves, because a lesser director would just toss in Joker in his, first Batman film. Just like in like the comics, where it's like everybody who wants that, like almost everybody want to have a Batman story. That's why we're like flooded with Batman related content with like, if it's not Nightwing or Batgirl or 3 different, Batman adventures in the comics, where one is like in Gotham and dealing with like future state crap, which is not very good stuff, and then another, solo adventure. He's off in London dealing with like Ducard, not Ra's al Ghul, but just the actual Henry Ducard, and it's like we're flooded with like in the market, like, and then Red Hood doing his thing and then Damon doing his thing. We're perpetually flooded with Batman stuff, and then you also got like Joker and stuff, and it's like you need to minimize. This is not it's the DC universe, not the Batman universe. Even though there is like a good comic book run called the Batman universe, which is actually pretty good, and at some point I want to cover that. But it's like you're using them as a crutch. I mean, even if you have like a Batman story, even though I personally think if somebody has like an idea for a story and they want to do a Batman thing, I'm pretty sure there's a line all around the block twice over around DC Company, and it's like, and sorry, it's like a fly thing all over everywhere. And it's like there's other DC characters. It's like if I was one of them, because like I love comics and I love superhero stuff. Me personally, I can tell you like at least. Sorry, I know it's probably hurt your ears. It's like the fly is literally right there on the mic. I can literally tell you like a good like Plastic Man story, Booster Gold, Green Arrow. I think not so much the Flash is like Flash is getting some love because of the dog TV show and the movies, but like lesser known like characters, that do the whole thing with like the Guardians, like the way like what's his name, who did like Suicide Squad 2 and Guardians, shoot, it's gonna kill me if I don't remember that doggone name, because I can't believe I'm forgetting his doggone name. James Gunn. They had like a G somewhere. Uh, if it wasn't like do the James Gunn thing where you take some lesser known characters and put them in like the zeitgeist. If you craft a very well made script. So I can easily make like some like give Plastic Man some love. I mean, Plastic Man is actually a pretty dope character, and like you give him like some agency and like some importance, and like somewhat modernize him to give him like some importance because like Batman will always be there. Personally, that's what I'm thinking. But if you gotta make a Batman story, I can make a Batman story, and I've said this many times. I can tell like at least a few different Batman stories that has nothing to do with the Joker. And I think we need to take a pause on the Joker for at least a year, because after the past couple of years, we've been like I said, using or at least they've been using Joker as a crutch because they got to get like eyes on the story kind of situation, and it's like it's almost too much of a good thing, because even though you can tell great stories with the Joker, it's been done before. Even that can get tiring. We won't be able to. We can say like, oh, this is actually a decent story, but it's kind of get like downplayed or kind of numb to that feeling, because we like if we have like at least two different events with Joker related stuff back to back, it doesn't seem special anymore. And it's like, I think like, DC is only starting to realize, okay, we need to dial back Joker. Like we're getting complaints that, okay, we're getting like flood in the market with too much Batman. I mean, too much Joker stuff. So I can easily take like a Calendar Man story with Batman and make Calendar Man more important, because like thanks to the Arkham games, and like because he's cameo in the Arkham games, and you really want to know what's his deal is. And then the Long Halloween, you can tell like some solid stories. I think I remember watching reading like earlier this year like some short Batman run with like a each issue like a solo adventure, like a short adventure story, compacted in one issue, and it's like a 6-issue miniseries, and one of which Batman teams up with Martian Manhunter to stop the Calendar Man, who stole some kind of Martian book that depicts their the Martian calendar and its holidays, and utilizes that to wreak havoc in Gotham City. And I thought that was such a cool idea. It's like he doesn't even really have to because he's so obsessed with holidays, he doesn't really have to always go back to the Earth holidays. He can find a way to like tell like other alien holidays, or even like get a hold of some kind of like like Wonder Woman's Greek holiday stuff and utilize that in some fashion. I mean, that would be like a genius thing. I'm off on a tangent, but I'm just voicing my personal feelings. But so he stops all those villains, and everybody's praising Batman, like, Batman, I love you, like thank you. And it's like, Batman, I love you more than my kids. So do I, guy. And then he stops at makes a quick pit stop after one of these adventures, and like toss Batman merch amongst the orphans, and that's his little charity, because everybody loves Batman. So it's like he doesn't have to do much. He's just there to cheer, and that's it. And then he rides off back to Wayne Manor, and it's like it's kind of like kind of veer off to some fun moments and hilarious moments, to quickly like a slow turn to like kind of depressing, where it's like you see Batman and he's like not alone. We got Alfred there, but it's like in a sense he's like he has nobody personally, excuse me, to go home to celebrate his victory with. And he's like, as soon as like, Pewter, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. It's all echoes, and it's like he's completely in solitude. And he's just like warming up his lobster thermidor in a microwave, and he's like bored. And then we watching like I thought it was Jerry Maguire, cause like it seemed like Jerry Maguire. I thought it was Jerry Maguire. I don't know, but he's watching these, relationship kind of movies, and he bursts out laughing at that "you had me at hello" kind of situation, and it's like, why is that funny? I never understood why it was that funny. It was funny to me because he was laughing at something that's not really comedic at all. Or at least not like a spoof or anything like that. But he's looking at his pictures of his parents at the theater and everything like that, and it's like he's reminiscing. And then he got Alfred, who's trying to tell him he should try to get out there, and because he's telling like Batman, you're afraid that to let people in. And that's the overall theme to this movie, is like Bruce has to learn to start a family again, or at least be able to accept more people into his orbit. And of course, he's been such a loner, and he has such a fear of losing people close to him again. He shuts that, he shuts that off. He can't, dare do that to himself again. Because he's still like that, that Batman who's like, it's my fault that I lost my parents because I dragged them to this freaking movie. And if I, if it wasn't such a spoiled brat or something, like, they would probably still be alive, because I just had to go to that theater. But he tells him to get out. Like he has to go to this gala to celebrate this the retirement of Jim Gordon, and he had these orphans there who with Dick Grayson amongst them, who are like doing like this song and dance number. And it's like, I guess it was like a / orphan charity event kind of situation, because like Batman supports like does a lot of charity for orphans and everything like that for Gotham City. And it's like a funny moment when Dick Grayson, like trying to follow Bruce around as he's like trying to ask him questions and trying to work up the nerve to ask him to adopt him. And of course he's not completely not paying attention to this kid. He's like in his own little world until he sees Barbara Gordon. And after the situation with the animated movie The Killing Joke was just completely horrendous, and like definitely doesn't do Batgirl service or any justice at all, because I ain't gonna hash that. It's probably the most cringiest moment in like a comic book movie that I've ever seen. And it's like, I get what it was trying to do, because like I guess it's like maybe like a slight nod to what was hinted at in the Batman Beyond animated movie, The Return of the Joker, where it was hinted at Batman and Barbara had like some kind of romantic fling. And I don't think anybody was really thinking too much about it, because we didn't actually see that. But we actually see it in like, not hardcore, but it's like you have to actually see Batgirl, because of the whole tension between the two. You have to see Batgirl pretty much mounting Bruce, and they having sex on top of the rooftop. And that was probably like the first time ever that it doesn't take much for to turn a guy on. But I think this is the first time I actually had the the opposite effect of an erection. It's like not neutral, but it's like so not turned on. It actually, that emotion kind of receded into my body. It's like complete reverse effect of an erection. It was so cringy and not hot. It was gross, disgusting. It's pretty much like her second dad, and it's like it makes my stomach queasy, and it's like this. Oh God, and after seeing this again and because this movie obviously came out way before the Killing Joke animated movie came out, so it wasn't on anybody's mindset. But now that the Killing Joke put into play now, and now seeing this moment where he's eyeing Barbara from afar, now I'm getting that same queasy feeling again, like because he's having an interest in Barbara. It's like, no, he's pretty much shouldn't mess with that. As Batman considers Jim Gordon like a second father to him, so makes Batgirl like a little sister to him. So that shouldn't. Those two shouldn't be crossing the streams. And so, because he was so like mesmerized by Barbara, he's not pay attention to what he's saying to Dick, he's like, just like, yeah, like, after Dick asked him, like, can you adopt him? And like, yeah, sure. And it was like a funny moment where it's like, he was introducing himself to Bruce, and it's like, my name is Richard Grayson, but the kids, at the office calls me Dick. Well, the kids can be cruel, and that I burst out laughing. A lot of people burst out laughing in the theater at that moment. Now I went to theater and I went early screening on a Saturday morning where it wasn't that many people around, but there's still kids, with their families in the theater, and I didn't care. I think we gotten away from it being like kind of like a bizarre thing to see, like, adults going to see animated films that would, for the most part, be seen as like a kid's film, but it's like, depending on like how it's written, you can, adults can, find interest in it and go see it too, because it's still like a movie, and it's like, movies cannot be like, a single-mindedly focus on a particular age group. It shouldn't, and like all people should be able to, like, it's not like R-rated films or like X-rated films where you definitely cannot bring children, under the age of 18 to see certain films. But it's kind of like the polar opposite, where it's like, well, depending on like, the situation, it's kind of like the polar opposite, where it's like, I can easily go to a Lego Batman movie or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in the theater, even though it's animated, doesn't mean it's strictly just for kids and I'm not allowed to go. Unless, that so-called adult is a complete pervert, that's a whole nother thing, but you don't really know that unless, he's doing something weird. But anyway, I'm glad we got away from that little mindset that, there's certain shows that, that's animated that I really want to see. So Barbara is, is the successor to the role as commissioner for Gotham City, and she's like doing this big PowerPoint presentation how like she got like these complete radical changes of Gotham City to better stop crime, and like and she got like PowerPoints and statistics, and she's trying to like not cut Batman off because she thinks Batman has done some good for the city. However, these villains are keep getting let out, so it's pointing out the fact that, because a lot of people make a joke about like Batman in the comics, every time he puts these villains away, they always find a way to escape and wreak havoc again. And the Lego Batman movie kind of like points that joke out and adds to the story with it is like Barbara wants to apply what Batman, like some of the Batman's methods, to the police department, and have Batman work with the police. And like this is not sitting too well with Bruce at all, who's in the crowd. And then in comes like Joker and the villains, who come in and surrender after Joker came up with an idea after watching on the news that Superman considers Zod as his greatest villain, and he grows jealous the fact that, like, Superman and Zod have like this great enemy relationship that he wishes Batman acknowledges that him and Joker has. And then he sees like the Superman on the news sending Zod to the Phantom Zone, and it being stored like a jail cell for the greatest of villains. And usually in comic book, in DC universe, the Phantom Zone house a lot of alien and mostly Kryptonian like villains that normal prisons won't be able to hold. It's like an alternate dimension to keep them there, so there's no way for them to even escape because it's like a pocket dimension. So in this one, the Phantom Zone house a lot of Warner Brothers type villains. Wherever the Warner Brothers owns, they can easily showcase. Like you see like the King Kong, Godzilla, Wicked Witch of the West, the Matrix, Agent Smith villains, Voldemort, Sauron, the dialects from Doctor Who, and so on from there. And he decides to get himself captured so that way Harley Quinn can incept in Batman's mind about utilizing the Phantom Zone to get into the Phantom Zone to send Joker through it, which he eventually does. But you get to see this little heist moment after Batman realized that Dick Grayson, he adopted him without signing any freaking papers to make it official. But he's surprised to get this, have this kid in his house, and thanks to Alfred, who's trying to get him to let people in, he has this boy all over the Batcave touching crap. And it was the funniest moment. Another funniest moment in the films where I've repeated for weeks as Dick was like, "Does Batman live in Bruce Wayne's basement?" "No, Bruce Wayne lives in Batman's attic." And that had me rolling. That was genius writing right then and there. Never in a million years I would ever come up with a joke that good. That was brilliantly done. And I quoted that for weeks, and that was just like a smart joke. And because to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, to a certain point of view, that might be correct. So he, begrudgingly, brings Dick along, who got himself a Robin costume, and he listened to lesson number one. Life doesn't have seatbelts, but then he blasts off in the Batmobile, who can change into the Bat plane, and without the seatbelts, Dick bumped his face up against the dashboard. It's like, "Oh, I am so sorry. Here, I won't put my arm around you for now and drive real slowly. And when we get back, I'll have Alfred install seatbelts." And life doesn't have seatbelts, or life doesn't need seatbelts. And then he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and while him and Dick has to plan, while Dick, because he's smaller and more nimble in gymnastics and stuff, he's able to convince, okay, you have to get beyond the security to reach the area where the projector is while I distract Superman. And he comes into the Forces of Solitude, and you see Superman and the rest of the Justice League having this big party, and they never invited him. And apparently they do this like a yearly thing, and not once they ever invite Batman, which kind of shocked Batman. And it's like he puts himself in a complete denial. It's like, you know, or at least don't even like want to ponder why, like, you know, so like, whoa, okay, so you just, you know, my invitation must have got lost in the mail. And the Green Lantern's like, you know, yeah, like, you know, it'd be years before I get an invitation. So it's like, it adds to the sadness of how alone Batman is, because he's such a loner to the point where it's like he doesn't feel like he needs anybody, not even the Justice League members, to like handle certain things. So they just not bother to have him around, because he's such a, I won't say buzzkill, but he's got to make everything about him, just because he's Batman. And he got like a 9-pack. So, you know, Batman sneaks off, you know, unlocks the safe. So, you know, Dick managed to, you know, follow Batman's directions by, you know, doing all this nimble stuff, get the projector, and like, you know, do all that crazy stuff, but backwards just to get out, which kind of more dangerous than getting in. And then Batman actually started to feel pride for the first time in somebody other than himself. And it was a funny moment where it's like, Batman shows Dick, like, you know, Batman gets all these ideas, but, you know, this is one case, you get this one, and, you know, gives him this one check mark, which is funny. But then after they, you know, started to go to Arkham Asylum, they put Joker through the Phantom Zone projector and sends him to the Phantom Zone. And Barbara had no choice but to lock Batman and Dick into separate cells. And I'm thinking to myself, this is freaking Batman. There's no prison that you can actually, I mean, there's only one time. No, I'm about to mention about a Justice League animated TV, one of the episodes when they fighting the Justice Lords. But no, Batman wasn't locked up. I mean, it's, at least I can't really recall, but he's a master escapologist. There's no facility, no cell that can keep Batman. I mean, you'll have to, like, even then it's iffy. You have to like have him in nothing but his boxer shorts and put him in like a Magneto style cube cell thing, you know, away from certain components, just to keep him, like, you know, limited his access to stuff to keep him from using something to make an escape. But even then, like I said, it's iffy, because this freaking Batman we're talking about, he's like he mastered escapology. So he, you know, I'm pretty sure even without his tools, he can find a way to escape. It might take a little longer, like, I don't know, a day or two, if you strip him damn near bare naked into like a box-like plastic holding cell. But even then, it won't take. But I'm just surprised that this somehow like is holding him. And you see this moment between Batman and Dick, who's now, when he's in the thick of it, because, you know, you're thinking like, oh, it's gonna be amazing, we're out, you know, on an adventure with Batman. But then things starting to get a little bit more serious. And Batman's been doing this so much, he's not really phased. You know, like, he knows he's gonna get out eventually. But this is the first adventure with Dick, and he's like freaking out. He's still a kid if you're thinking about it. and he's he's confessing to Batman. It's like, do superheroes get scared? It's like, do you ever get scared, Batman? No. And then he's starting to realize, like, he's starting to slowly realize, think of others beyond himself when you're hearing this kid's like whimpering a bit, and it's like realizing this kid's actually legit freaking out here. So he's like, but my buddy Bruce Wayne, he gets scared all the time. And like he's offering advice and like trying to, keep the kid in the right state of mind so he can keep his mind off the current predicament. And he's doing like this like little, mini rap with the kid just to liven his spirits a bit, which I thought was pretty dope. And then like Joker, escapes with all the villains that's in the Phantom Zone, and they're starting to wreak havoc in Gotham City. And Barbara's, going to Batman to get his assistance, but then they got tagging along with Alfred and everything like that, and which is weird. It's like, now I'm thinking about it, it's like Alfred just showing up, being Bruce Wayne so well known, knows he has like a butler named Alfred. Barbara is pretty smart, but it doesn't, in this iteration, doesn't seem like she quickly understands like, oh, Bruce Wayne's Batman kind of situation. It just kind of glossed over that and just in it now, and it's like kind of like not a scene of an acknowledgement that, oh, Bruce Wayne is Batman kind of situation. They just kind of like move forward and breeze past it. But all three and all four go out to stop the Joker and all these villains from destroying the city. And Batman's still trying to handle things his own way by himself nearly, but then he realized that there's like too much going on for him to handle by himself. So you got Dick keeping people off the bat plane, while Batgirl who's steering, and you got like Alfred manning the gunners. But he almost loses Alfred in the scuffle, but thanks to Barbara, she managed to save him. And it's like a moment where it's like, he acknowledges that, like, okay, like, I might need some help on this one. But then even after all that, after they took down Sauron, just to get, because Joker was using Sauron to keep like eyes on Batman at all times. Now they can actually move about, without somebody watching them every separate away. So, but after they taken this little family little photo, after just minor moment of celebration, Batman is realizing, oh no, family moment. And then he kind of like yellers them, not yellers, but not like shooting them or anything like that, but kind of like shoos them away, and the bat plane is kind of like a little pet or something like that, like a sentient pet, and it's like, shoot, go away. And it's like sending those three away so he can handle Joker alone without them being in danger. But with once again Batman not expressing his hatred for the Joker, which is kind of like a Maury Montel Williams moment where it's like Joker's confessing, to Batman's like, Batman, I hate you. And like all these villains are chilling along. It's like, you go, boy. It's like, yeah, you tell him. And it's, and Batman's just like, whatever about it, and just not expressing his true feelings about how he feels about the Joker, how much he hates him too, and he's just so like still in his own orbit. And so he's sends Batman to the Phantom Zone, and thanks to like the AI in the Phantom Zone showing Batman all his like not misdeeds, but she thinks he belongs here because only villains come here. And not acknowledging the fact that anybody can just easily be sent to the family zone. But she shows him his stuff, that bad choices he made, that kind of paints him as like a bad guy to Barbara, Alfred, and Dick's point of view, maybe subconsciously their point of view. And he sees like him saying like very awful things, or at least not being considerate to these people's feelings. And he's like, because of you being so doggone selfish, you push people away that actually care about you and wants to be with you and help you, and like in a way that kind of makes you a bad guy too. And Batman convinces, after that kind of like a short Christmas Carol like acknowledgement of what he's been doing, and he decides, I'm gonna make a change right here and there. Let me out, and let me put these people back into the family zone, and you have my word, I will come back. And so he's released, and then he teams up with the gang again and and it sends all those family owners back to their prison. And now it's just him and Joker, who's the city's being toppled thanks to the explosions that still went off, and they link together to put this Lego set city back together again. And Batman finally confesses his hatred for the Joker, which kind of like warms Joker's heart. And the Phantom Zone AI said like, oh, you don't need to come back here. Like, you are at the end of the day, after that, especially after that moment, you are a true hero. So the movie ends with like Batman giving like the villains a 30-minute head start, while Batman and the gang celebrate saving the city. And that's pretty much like the Lego Batman movie. It's pretty doggone good and still holds up pretty well. I'm just shocked that HBO Max doesn't have this movie on this app, and unless they at some point took it down, which I don't understand, because it's been a few moments when like HBO Max takes certain things down that they had before, which is weird. It's like, because like Disney Plus ain't like that. Netflix is sort of like that, but it only depends if a particular, like, because I remember like Dr. Seuss's Benedict Cumberbatch, The Grinch, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse were on Netflix for at least a couple of years since their movie release was on Netflix for quite some time before they being taken down. 'Cause at least it's been like an extended period of time. But with Disney Plus, whoever Disney owns or Marvel owns is on Disney Plus. It remains there. Period. It's like they have like the 90s X-Men TV series up on there, and after a few months decided to take it down for X amount of time before they put it back up. It's just, that's a weird thing to do, and it's Warner Brothers property. It should be on HBO Max. I thought I had to. Luckily, it was on TV on cable, so I managed to just quickly see it so I can do this review. But overall, it still holds up pretty good, still pretty funny, and very clever in its playing to the theme of what we know to Batman to be, like the loner, and applying it to the overall story and how to make that interesting. Because before this movie, people was concerned like, how can they make a Lego Batman movie? Like, are they going to play this to the same tropes as the Lego movie? Like, no, they completely nixed the whole master builder thingy, and like this is about like Batman accepting having like a new family, or choosing to have a family again, and not being so alone. And you see this nice moment when they're watching a Tom Cruise movie while each having lobster thermidor, which kind of want to see like I had lobster before, but not like a full lobster, because those things are friggin' expensive. Not like crazy, but like it does get to the $100 range mostly. And it's like, I want to at least try lobster thermidor. It's just like just lobster you just have to crack open kind of situation. But yeah, which, come to think of it, I want to go to Red Lobster. It's been like a couple of years, almost 3 years since I last been to Red Lobster, and I love seafood. And I really want to go and just just hang out in a restaurant, possibly with friends, and just like have like a nice moment at like a nice restaurant. And it has like lobster tail. Like lobster tails is so delicious. And but yeah, that was my review for the Lego Batman movie. Tell me what your thoughts on the film, if you've seen it recently. Give me your likes and dislikes in this movie, because the cons out of the pros that I have about this movie is borderline nitpicky to me, because I mean, aside from like the Jim Gordon thing, him just being like so obsessed with just pressing the bat button to summon Batman, because he feels like it's easier to just summon Batman. It just solves all your problems kind of situation. That just seems like just borderline nitpicky at a certain point. But overall, it's like the movie was in the 90% range in the Rotten Tomatoes when this came out. I mean, like, it's still pretty doggone good. It's probably rivals that with like the Lego movie, because it's so far as like quality of a film. Don't know if they was ever planning on like a sequel. I think the sequel was canceled. It was like in like 2021, McKay revealed that the script was being written initially by Dan Harmon and Michael Waldron, and it was supposed to be focused on Batman's relationship with the Justice League and Superman particularly, and while the main villain is supposed to be Lex Luthor and OMAC, but they kind of like nixed it for like for Lego Super Friends, but it's like they ended up just canceling it altogether, which is unfortunate. That seemed like a good idea. But anyway, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on my Patreon, patreon.com/TalkativeCarl. And yeah, I will see you soon, because in a few minutes I will be doing like another discussion video, a short one, in a few minutes, and then I want to try to do like a tier list, like a YouTube tier list, and see if I can make that work, because it can't be like directly on YouTube to make it live. I can't make this work through Streamlabs. So look forward to that. Then might not be streaming on Sunday, because I want to get a lot done with Cardcaptor Sakura Season 1 and get that TV show review out before the year is over. And definitely another comic book review, a short one for the holidays. And then, of course, the Spider-Man No Way Home review, and then the Christmas movies, the other Christmas movies I want to put out now that I got, the Batman stuff wrapped up. Well, after the new year, I will do Batman Year One, but then it's going to be a while before I do another Batman-related film for the channel. So anyway, I will see you guys soon. Take care, be safe, and see you next time.